All right, welcome everyone to our Learning Tuesday Choosing a Major session. We're really excited that you guys are spending your Tuesday afternoon or maybe other time of the day, depending on where in the world you are, spending it with us. Again, this is our Choosing a Major session. And my colleague and I are going to introduce ourselves in just a second, but before we begin, we want to remind you that this is a webinar format, so feel free to ask questions using the chat or the Q&A. We're going to be monitoring those throughout the presentation. We might answer some of them during the presentation, but we're probably going to reserve most of the questions towards the end when we have a dedicated Q&A portion to the presentation. All right. So my name is Juan Perez. I am an Associate Director of Admissions at Trinity. I use he, him pronouns. I've been working at Trinity for about 10 years now. And before that, I used to be a student at Trinity. I'm originally from Quito, Ecuador. I came to Trinity as an international student. And I thought I wanted to study business, so I dove into that academic area from the very beginning. I thought I wanted to do more the management side, but ended up doing a double concentration in finance and marketing within business. And then I graduated and started working in the admissions office. And again, it's been about 10 years.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. My name's Elena Wilson. I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions and Coordinator for Athletic Recruitment. So if there are any student athletes on the call today, would love to connect. Similar to Juan, I am a proud Trinity alum, class of 2017. I was an out-of-state student from Iowa and came down for the warmth, but also the flexible liberal arts curriculum. I was in the camp. I had no idea what I wanted to study. That really overwhelmed me. So this topic today is near and dear to my heart. But through my time at Trinity and working with professors closely, I ended up double majoring in international politics and East Asian studies, and then minoring in Chinese. And I'm now here today, coming on my third or fourth year at admissions.
Awesome. All right, so where do we even begin the conversation about choosing a major? There are so many out there, and I'm sure the process now can feel a little bit overwhelming. You can see it right there up on the screen. There are probably over 1,800 possible majors out there, and it is really hard to calculate the exact number because colleges keep adding majors, keep changing majors. This really tends to mirror what's happening in the job market in different industries. So lots and lots of options to choose from, and hopefully after this you'll feel a little bit better about this process. We wanted to show you here some popular trends, both at a national level in the US and also trends at Trinity. You can see some of the 10 most popular majors in the US and at Trinity. Just to give you an idea of, again, where students are leaning towards now. This doesn't mean that these are majors that you need to be doing or that we recommend that you do. If these are the right for you, if you feel like these are for you, it might be a good option, but not necessarily. Again, there are hundreds and hundreds of other possible programs. And as I mentioned earlier, as the industries change, as there becomes a need for a new career, a new industry, majors will adjust to that. At Trinity, we have added a few additional programs just this past year. We added 3 new majors: human resource management. We added a marketing major. It used to be a concentration. That's what I did before. We also added an applied physics major. We have also added 3 minors, so 6 new programs at Trinity this year: global supply chain management, data science, and museum studies. So again, just to give you an idea of what we're seeing, students' interest, and based on that, new majors, minors are created. And again, if this overwhelms you a little bit, maybe this next fact will make you feel a little bit better. About 50% of students across the country start as undecided. So you are definitely not alone if you're not sure what you want to major in. And 75% of students change their mind in college. So it's 3 out of 4 students think they want to do something and will ultimately end up doing something differently. So again, no stress at all. All right, but let's back up a little bit and talk about the role of the major. What is this term that that's associated with colleges that sometimes can cause a little bit of stress? A major is really the field of study, your academic specialization, what you are going to be focusing in during your time at colleges. So it shapes your coursework during college, because obviously you're going to spend a lot of time during your time in at a university learning that area. So it ultimately ensures that you have a solid understanding of a particular academic discipline. So that is a major. I mentioned minors earlier. You might have heard about minors as well. What's the difference between a major and a minor? A minor, you can think of it as a secondary area of concentration, something that may or may not be complementary to your major. It might just be an area of interest that you think might be helpful for your career. It might be something that you had no idea, or maybe don't even intend to use in the future, but you just are passionately in love with that and wanted to explore in a little bit more depth. So that's majors and minors.
Yeah, those are some great points, Juan, and kind of got me thinking about, why don't we have this speak through some of our own current student and recent graduate students' voices about their experience and major declaration and changing their mind and all of that. So we wanted to share what a recent graduate, Jordan, had to say about her path to finding her major. This is a classic example of changing your mind, and it worked out just fine. She did graduate on time in 4 years and was also a student athlete. But she says, I arrived at Trinity with my heart set on majoring in biology and continuing on to med school. Juan and I see this all the time. It had been my dream since I was little to be a doctor. However, after the first year, I realized my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't passionate about my classes, and I started to second guess my long-term plan. After lots of consideration, I decided to veer away from the bio track and try to find something I liked that I really loved. After a year of searching, I found the business analytics and technology major and fell in love with it. It combined her different interests in business, math, analytics, and saw opportunities in the long term. So I think this is a classic example to reassure everyone on the call today that it's okay, change may happen. And so embrace that. Along with that, we would encourage you to definitely keep an open mind as you go through college and beyond.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about the college major. Now let's talk about how that relates to a potential future career. And I think this is when students feel a little bit of the pressure to choose the right major, because depending on that, that's going to shape your future. And I don't think that such pressure needs to exist. So a career is obviously different from a major. A career is what you do for a living. It's your occupational field, your job. Um, and finding a career is a different process that finding a major. It's more of an ongoing process. You will have to test the waters and probably continue to do that for a little while until you find something that's fulfilling, that's rewarding. And in order to successfully move about this process, you want to start gaining some targeted experience. And this path looks different from for everyone. There's not a set path that everybody follows, or a certain time in your life where you need to have reached a certain step or level. Again, it looks different for everyone. You can let experiences guide you into a specific career. And that can come through things like volunteering, doing an internship, maybe informational interviews, talking to a mentor, or finding a mentor. Sometimes mentors are not just assigned, you just kind of find that in someone, or networking. Again, a lot of times you don't even know of a career, of a job, until you meet someone that's doing it, and you're like all of a sudden so interested in what they're doing. So you can have all these different experiences that guide you into a career. Or you can actually go all the way to the end, choose a career, and then move backwards from that and be like, okay, I know I really want to pursue this career. What do I need to get there? Does this specific career require domain-specific knowledge? For example, if you want to be an accountant, there are technical skills that you need to learn. You need to learn the tax code. You need to learn those tax laws. If you want to be a doctor, of course, you need to go to medical school. You need to be really proficient in health and medicine. So there are domain-specific requirements for certain jobs. Some might just require transferable skills. So these are skills that may be used in a variety of different roles or occupations, not exactly specific to one role. For example, your ability to communicate clearly, both verbally and on paper, your ability to solve complex problems. All of these might lead into a career that you want. So keep that in mind. There's no set path. This is yours to follow.
I'm really glad you took time to differentiate major and career. I think I could have used hearing that advice when I was in high school, but now just to take this discussion a step further and more philosophical, I guess, is Juan and I are going to ask you to kind of reframe this traditional question you've probably been asked since you were a ninth grader of what do you want to major in? Let's pivot a little bit and ask, what am I passionate about? And that reminds me of, Jordan's quote that we talked about earlier. But so oftentimes, Juan and I talk with students that are either in one of two camps. They know exactly what they want to study. They have no idea and they're freaking out, or they fall somewhere in between. And I think it's because they're asking, what do I want to major in? Instead of taking a step back, using your time now over your summer breaks or whatever, to do some self-reflection a little bit about what you value, what you think your strengths and weaknesses are, what you love doing, what you hate doing. All of that could really help be a guidepost for you in figuring out your passions, and then by default, potentially an area of study. But I think beyond that, if you can align potentially your career interests and what you want to study, also with just like what you love learning and are smiling in the classroom the whole time, maybe you guys can think about, oh yeah, I really love that calculus class. That should be assigned to you. That if you can fuse those together, I feel like your major studying might be more satisfying for you, and you'd obviously at the end of the day be more successful. So bear with us through the rest of this presentation. Would encourage you to think about this question, what am I passionate about versus what do I want to major in? And I think Daniel Lebetsky is a phenomenal example here. So he is a Trinity alum, class of 1990, and the founder and current CEO of Kind Bar. You may have heard of them or had a few Kind Bars yourself. But basically, he double majored at Trinity in econ and international relations. And when you first hear that, you might think, oh, he went into diplomacy or international trade. In fact, he took a different direction. And so I'll just briefly read this quote. He says, one of the things that I benefited from the most while I was at Trinity was combining two seemingly different topics and then finding ways to create value by developing business forces for social good. I think anytime you do interdisciplinary studies, anytime you combine things that people are not expecting to combine, students are going to have the opportunity to connect the dots and create things that have never existed before. I'm inspired just reading that, but basically just driving home the point here that what you major or double major in doesn't determine your career path and put you in a box for the rest of your life. And then from a more recent example, another quote from a current student, Patrick. He came in, had no idea what he wanted to major in. You guys are getting the theme here, I think. He knew he liked econ, and then he started taking more classes that he thought were interesting in business analytics and Spanish. By the end of this, Patrick is well on his way to receiving a triple major at Trinity, all because he kind of took some time to think about his interests, maybe grapple a little bit in what he enjoyed doing, maybe some strengths and some weaknesses, talking to advisors. And he's really making the most of his time. And as you can see here, the process of academic discovery. I love that. Okay. One of the ways that you can enjoy this process of academic discovery, I think first and foremost, is utilizing the curriculum at hand. Whatever college you end up going to is diving into electives. College has infinitely more class variety compared to high schools, and that is your opportunity to just take classes that sound interesting to you, whether that's underwater basket weaving or bookbinding, or for me it was Chinese, and that ended up into a minor. But it's just kind of maybe stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, taking a class that always baffled you and seeing what happens, see where it takes you. Another way that you can start exploring more potentially where you've got your skill set at is definitely everything you do outside of the classroom. And I think this can even start in high school, but going to different lectures and debates on a campus so you can hear directly from the experts in that field. Do they inspire you? Do they put you to sleep? That's kind of a measuring bookmark there, or benchmark there. Undergraduate research. So a school like Trinity, that's a big thing that we do across all majors. So does that excite you? What kind of research do you want to be doing? Of course, study abroad is quintessential liberal arts and experiential learning opportunity to get out there and see what kind of work environment you might like, or working in a multicultural environment. And the last one that I want to bring up is your club and organization involvement. But more than that, kind of looking at, of those, which leadership roles are you taking advantage of? Because I think that's really telling. You're voluntarily using your time to lead the debate club or the music ensemble group, whatever. I think that's pretty telling of what you genuinely enjoy. So just keep tabs on yourself, enjoy the process. There's so much out there, obviously, as you can see.
Yeah, those are some really great suggestions. I just have a few more to add here, and those are utilizing and taking advantage of the resources that are at your disposal. And some of these you might see all the time, take for granted. Some of them might require you to step outside of your comfort zone, but they're really, really helpful. For example, your college counselor or your guidance counselor. if you have not talked to them about potential majors, might be a really good resource. Oftentimes they have exercises or certain tests that you can take to determine certain aspects or qualities or values that you have that might be more prone to certain fields. So that's a really good resource that you should have right now in high school. When you get to college, career services, they are often an incredible resource, not just when you are looking for internships or looking for full-time employment when you're near graduation, but also to help you and guide you into finding something that is going to fulfill you as a potential career. They do a lot of work with students who are undecided too. So again, you don't have to know your career yet to utilize career services. Utilizing the alumni network, oftentimes in your high school, but once you get to college as well, a lot of alumni, like Elena and I shared our stories, our trajectories. We have very different majors, very different paths that led us to our profession now. Career fairs are an awesome opportunity as well to meet a variety of different professionals in fields that you might not even be aware exist. And job shadowing and internships are just a fantastic way to get firsthand experience, firsthand knowledge, to see it for yourself, what it's like to do that a particular job, not just what you've read about it or maybe what you saw on television, but to actually walk on the shoes of someone that's doing that. All right, and we've gone to what I think is one of the most fun parts of our presentation, talking about some myths versus realities of majors. So we're going to start with this one. My major will determine what I do for the rest of my life. What do you think, Elena?
That stresses me out. I'm going to say no on this one. Juan, I think you and I are good examples. Clearly, we did not major in admissions counseling, yet here we are. I think your major, as we've talked about, is more of a tool, a specific area of expertise that you can draw on at any time, and regardless of what environment you're in. And then it just is a matter of how you apply that and how well you apply that. I'm going to ask you a question now, Juan.
What's your question?
An academic major ties you to a specific career path.
No. And you guys might see where we're going with this, but while some majors can strongly relate to career option, like I mentioned earlier, accounting, maybe teaching, engineering, other majors are less related to that. So, for example, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a politician, if you want to be a businessman, you don't have to study business to be the CEO of a company. You don't have to study political science to become a politician. So again, there are certain things that maybe relate to a specific field. And I think when you first graduate, maybe for your first job or two, depending on when that is, employers are going to be taking note of what you majored in. But this is less so for the major itself. And what they really want to see is maybe experiences that you've had over the last few years because of a particular area that you've studied. But again, if you think back to transferable skills, if you can speak to all the skills that you've acquired, that is much more important than the actual major that you pursued. All right, what about this one? Liberal arts majors are only qualified to work in their specific area of study.
I would say it's the exact opposite of that, actually, is that a liberal arts graduate, at least speaking of the person, not necessarily a liberal arts major, is actually very well rounded in a bunch of different areas. They've taken classes that have approached difficult concepts in an interdisciplinary way, so different angles, looking at economics, history, culture, politics, you name it. And those students and those people who think like that, they've had more opportunities to think outside of the box. So I think, again, speaking to kind of future employers that are looking at your resumes, they're going to get excited by the fact that a liberal arts educated person or someone who took classes outside of their major are going to be more adaptable, more dynamic, and can adapt to change. I know year 2020 and now 2021 is full of change. So that's what I would say to that one. And then the last one here, employers prefer applicants with a double major than just one major, right? That concept, the more the merrier. Is that right?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. And I think while having complementary majors, or again, major and minor, like we discussed earlier, can be helpful depending on what that is, depending on the skills that you acquired. Not all double majors are necessarily viewed as better. So the more the merrier, not necessarily. Again, employers are really interested in out of class experiences. Elena was talking a little bit about that earlier. Internships, part-time job, research, leadership experiences that you've had in clubs and organizations. Those are experiences that lead you to develop and acquire certain skills that are really important for whatever job you end up doing. All right, and as we kind of conclude the official presentation, we have a few words of advice from current students. So this first one is from current student Kelly. Dive deep into the things that you already know interest you, but don't be afraid to explore new subjects that sound cool as well. You may or may not serendipitously discover a new passion, but you won't know unless you try. So you can keep an open mind. There's so many things out there. You have not tried them all.
And this one, again, from our friend Jordan. Looking back, I wish I could have told myself right off the bat to look for something that I enjoyed, something that I was passionate about. I think that's definitely a theme we've had throughout the conversation today, is be honest and upfront with your genuine interests early, rather than this is what my aunt wants me to pursue, or I want to do this for my parents. Also think about what's going to make you happy.
All right, and finally from our triple major, Patrick, look at the course catalog and try to get a sense of what you might be doing in a certain major. Try to identify things that interest you and pursue those initially, and don't be afraid of changing your mind. I think two really important things here. Taking a look at the course catalog. This is really important, and it might sound a little bit obvious, but I talk to students every year that, for example, tell me they want to do engineering, but they really are not fans of math. And guess what? There's a lot of math involved in that. So take a look at the course catalog and make sure that what you want to pursue, that you're going to be studying things that you like in that area. And definitely don't be afraid of changing your mind. You have time to explore other things. You can switch majors, even if you've told your friends, maybe told your family. You're not disappointing anyone. If you pursue something that you're passionate about, you're going to be successful, and that is what's ultimately important. All right, so we really hope that you've enjoyed our Learning Tuesday, Choosing a Major session. We've had a few of these already. You can see them listed here. If you've missed any of our previous Learning Tuesdays, you can see recordings of them on our website. We do have a couple more left in this series, though. Next week, what I wish I knew in my senior year. I will be moderating that session along with my colleague Hillary, and we're going to have some current students and incoming students let us know what they wish they knew their senior year. And the last one is funding your education, obviously really important one as well. So we hope that you can join us for those two.
Yeah, and before we switch over to Q&A, we wanted to encourage you to reach out. We've got our contact information here, email or phone. We'd love to continue the conversation with you guys, whether it's Trinity specific or not, we're here to help. And also just want to thank you for spending your Tuesday afternoon with us on a summer day. But I think this is going to be really helpful. And now we'll kind of turn it over to Q&A. So please start asking questions. We're happy to take them.